So, guess who just dropped Patrick Kane in fantasy? I know you could say, oh, that's so quick. Why would you do that? You don't believe in the guy. You don't think he's gonna bounce back, whatever. Yeah, that might not be the case, really. I do believe in Patrick Kane. I do think he's a great player, and I think he'll eventually bounce back. But still, the negative games, the minuses piling up there. We can't be having that, and any sort of falter in the system ends up being replaceable because there are always going to be hotter players who are on a bit more of a streak in fantasy leagues. Anyways, I wanted to talk about the Red Wings today because things have not been good for this team the past little while. Let's go over the Red Wings and their schedule the past few games here, because ever since they grabbed onto Todd McLellan, they rode his momentum all the way into the start of the new year. They had themselves so many wins, 7 wins in a row under Todd McLellan. But ever since those wins, the team has gone 1-3-1 since January 14th. Yesterday, they lost in overtime to the Philadelphia Flyers off of some very interesting game dynamics. You can talk about the goal itself, Rasmus Ristolainen's overtime winner, which was one of the stranger goals I think we have seen in the NHL in a long time. I mean, it was kind of Moritz Seider putting it into his own net, and Alex Lyon not really being able to swipe it away properly. It was a very strange goal. You could also talk about Patrick Kane in this game. In particular, Kane is a guy that I think has been targeted with a bunch of criticism because of his missed opportunities. I mean, he had 2 in overtime that could have very well been goals. And look, if he does that, all of a sudden the entire narrative has changed. But at the end of the day, hockey is a game of inches, and inches can dictate whether or not you win or lose. And the Red Wings have been on the losing side as of late. I'm not going to go out there and say that this is going to be permanent. Of course, the Wings are going to start winning games at some point. They might even go on another 7-game win streak. Who really knows? It's all possible under Todd McLellan. But I wanted to go over some of the commentary about this game from McLellan himself, as well as dive into some Red Wings fan discourse, because things are starting to get a little bit spicy here with Detroit. And I think this could be a pretty interesting opportunity to get some conversations going. So, as always, the show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go out there and check out the first link in the description if you wanted to save some money on a VPN, get some free months, and support the channel all in the process. So, let's go out there onto the Detroit Free Press and read some commentary from Todd McLellan as courtesy of Helene St. James. This article will also be linked in the description. Let's go out there and see what McLellan spoke about from this loss. To start in Florida and play against that team and weather their storm, that was a really good win, McLellan said. Tampa was a little bit disappointing because I think we got tricked with the volume of shots, but not the intensity around the net. Dallas, after falling behind 3-0, we settled in, but I think the game really does change for both teams at that point, and then we finished strong and hard. You never head out for 50-50. You always want more, and we came up a little short. An average trip for our group, but I think we're making strides in certain areas. We're a little better in our own zone, we're breaking the puck out a little better than we have in the past, we checked through the neutral zone better. Those are all good things, but we have to find a way to score more than 1 goal a night 5-on-5 if we're going to have success. And I think that success marker has really been bringing itself up lately because, the Wings had 5 goals against Florida. Great. They had 3 against San Jose when they lost that stinker of a game. But then against Tampa Bay, they had 1. Against Dallas, they had 1. Against Philly, they had 1. Again, they could have had a lot more, but they didn't. And Patrick Kane, for example, has been on a negative streak the past little while here. I mean, it was a -2 against San Jose, a -1 against Tampa, a -3 against Dallas, a -1 against Philadelphia. This is why I dropped the guy. He's been giving me negative points. Anyways, let's go over to the Red Wings subreddit and read some commentary from the fans as to what their perspectives are looking like at this point. So this is going to be from the daily discussion thread from earlier this morning. Let's read a thread posted by one non-target A. Yesterday solidified it for me. I don't think the Red Wings are a playoff team. Maybe they can be close, but we're not there. If we accept that, what is the point of finishing like 5 to 10 points out? This should be a developmental season, and as much as that sucks, there is so much dead weight in this roster that is not helping. Cop, Comfer, Hall, etc. Can we dump some of these contracts, move some guys at the deadline for picks, and get in a lottery position? The goal has been the Cup since Yzerman took the helm, so why would we move the goalposts? The goal should be the Cup, and a top 5 pick in a loaded draft would put this team in a much better position than the 15th overall pick in my opinion. So here's a hot take, one of the commenters saying that the team is not a playoff caliber team. Let's look at some of the replies. In year 3 or 4 of a rebuild, you're absolutely right. Take the higher pick with an eye of the future. By about year 10, you've already moved on from one core of young players already, you just have to look at the best player available and push for a wildcard spot. And assuming if you're even taking finders for Kopp or Comfer or Hall, moving those contracts is very likely to cost important picks and prospects. I agree, we are in no man's land. We're not good enough to win anything, we're not bad enough to draft anything. It's wild that Steve Yzerman's rebuild looks like Ken Holland's last year, stuck right in the middle. Unless we call up every kid and they look good, what's the point of this season besides finally getting rid of Lalonde? So there are some folks who are going out there and proclaiming that the team is in this state of mediocrity, they're not looking all too good, the ceiling isn't that high, and their draft position isn't looking all too good either. However, there is a very reasonable argument that I think combats this that is also talked about in the replies. Cultured Robot asks, did you see how dejected every player on this team looked before Todd took over? You really want a whole season of that for young stars like Seider, Raymond, and Edvinsson? It's not as simple as tank for a better pick when we're right there in the playoff race. If our young players get sick of playing here, we're screwed, and a top 5 pick this year isn't going to bridge that huge gap. Those players want to win. Intentionally tanking now sends the absolute worst message we can to them and puts us on the path to becoming the next Buffalo. And so, this combating perspective talks about how the players themselves would not want to be in this spot, where they're losing games and they wouldn't want to intentionally make the team worse to get a higher draft pick. You already have enough guys on this team who can be core players, so what do you want to do? Go out there and start losing, have them pissed off, and have them wanting to leave? The discussion gets a little bit heated in this subreddit thread, and then eventually you see some other comments like this. I agree with everything you said. We straight up need to stop blaming everything on Derek Lalonde. The Red Wings were spiraling, he lost the room, and he needed to go. If you think the Wings are down in the standings because of him, okay, then fine. But the Wings are less than a year removed from vibes being at an all-time high, and the boys looking like they couldn't love each other more. The idea that winning and losing doesn't impact a room and who decides to stay and go is bananas to me. And so at the end of the day, I wanted to propose this question to you in the comments section below. Are the Detroit Red Wings actually a playoff team? And if your answer is no, what do you think is the best course of action for this season? Is it in their best interests to continue down this path of maybe winning some games, losing a few others, and hoping that they find themselves a way to squeak into the playoffs? Or would you rather see them go all in and say, screw it, we're trading everybody, we're getting a top pick, we're putting ourselves in a spot to draft a high prospect, and we're not going to look back? It seems like the recent stretch of games here has put a lot of Wings fans in confrontation with each other as to whether or not their views and the team are similar. And of course, that's going to happen, right? If the team doesn't win games, nobody's really happy with that. But at the same time, this isn't the rebuilding days anymore, right? It's not 2020. Nobody's going out there cheering every time the Wings lose because, oh, we can get Alexis Lafreniere now. Like, I think from that season, we educated ourselves that the draft lottery system isn't really good for Detroit. And the fact is, they don't really seem to get high picks anyway, so is there really hope in cheering for that? I'm not really too sure. Anyways, are the Red Wings a playoff team at this point? Is this stretch of games going to change your mind on that? We've seen them play at their best. We know what Patrick Kane can do when he is looking really good. But I feel like because of his overarching negative play as of late and the fact that I dropped him in fantasy, I feel like I subconsciously diverted a lot of this video's conversation into talking about Patrick Kane. But anyways, the Red Wings, yay or nay? I'm going to leave some links in the description to the Free Press article. Of course, the Red Wings subreddit thread is going to be down there as well, and you should check out our ExpressVPN affiliate link if you need yourselves any free VPN months. Thoughts in the comment section below about the Detroit Red Wings, whether or not you think they're a playoff team or not. Do you think Patty Kane bounces back from this? Do you think it was a mistake for me to drop him for Patrick Laine? Because I've been teetering back and forth between those two guys, and some of my teams I actually have both, but on some of them I was like, yeah, no, sorry, Kane, you gotta go. We gotta get Laine back on here, baby. The Laine train is back going. Choo choo, boom boom. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.